Most people fear their demons, but Daniel, he feared the sun because when the light hit the ground, there was nothing there. He sold his shadow. Daniel Okoye was known across the village as a very hard-working man.
When will I start making profit from this business?
But he had nothing to show for.
Time to open up for the day. There we go, all set.
Every morning, he opened his shop with hopes and smiles, but at the end of the day, he closed frustrated.
At home, piles of unpaid bills waited to greet him. Soon, whispers started spreading through the village. Daniel became talk of the village. Some said Daniel was cursed. Others simply believed he was unlucky. But Daniel? He believed something different. He believed his life had simply not started yet. Then, one evening, something strange happened. A traveler appeared from the far end of the road. No one had seen him enter the village, and no one knew where he came from. But he walked straight toward Daniel's stall, as if he had been searching for him. His presence brought darkness. The stranger smiled politely. "You look like a man searching for opportunity," he said. Daniel laughed quietly and answered, "If you know where opportunity lives, please introduce me." The traveler leaned closer and said, "I can give you wealth. I can give you respect. I can give you success." Daniel stared at him in disbelief. Then he asked, "And what do you want in return?" The traveler pointed calmly at the ground and answered, "I want your shadow." Daniel looked down at the ground and laughed. "A shadow?" he said. "That is the easiest trade I have ever heard." And then it began. He slowly raised his walking stick and gently touched the shadow on the dirt road. What happened next, Daniel would never forget. Daniel watched in disbelief. His shadow was rising. The traveler captured it inside a small glowing sphere. And just like that, it was gone. The traveler smiled again and said, "Your success begins tomorrow." Daniel laughed to himself. He thought the entire thing had been a strange trick. But the next morning, something unusual happened. A customer walked in, then another customer, then another. Daniel could barely believe his eyes. By the end of the day, his shelves were empty. For the first time in years, Daniel felt hope. But the success did not stop. Week after week, business kept growing. Within months, Daniel owned the busiest shop in the village. Soon, he opened a second store, then a third. And just like that, the poor trader had become a wealthy businessman. People who once mocked him now greeted him with respect. Even the woman he loved finally said yes. Life had finally become perfect. But Daniel had forgotten something very important: his shadow. For a long time, Daniel did not notice the missing shadow. He had completely forgotten his encounter with the strange man. After all, success can easily distract a man from strange details. His businesses were expanding every month. His house had become the finest home in the village, and his marriage brought him great happiness. Everything seemed perfect. Until one quiet afternoon when Daniel went for a walk around the village. A small boy suddenly stopped and stared. The boy looked really confused and curious. He bends down, squints his eyes to confirm what he saw. Then he asked a question that froze Daniel's heart. "Mother, why does that man not have a shadow?" The boy's mother laughed nervously, trying desperately not to offend Daniel. "Hey, do not be rude," she told his son. But Daniel felt something cold crawl down his spine. For the first time in months, he noticed it. There was no shadow. He had been living a lie all this while. The memory of the traveler suddenly slowly crawled back. Daniel forced himself to laugh it off, but that was not the end. Strange things began happening soon after. People who used to pay homage to him walked past him as if he wasn't there. Friends who once welcomed him warmly suddenly seemed distracted. Even his workers began forgetting simple instructions. At first, Daniel blamed stress from work, but deep inside, fear was growing. Daniel was scared. One evening, he decided to visit the person who knew him best, his mother. He knocked gently on the door. The door slowly opened, but everything felt strange. His mother looked directly into his eyes and asked softly, "Can I help you?" Daniel stood frozen at the doorway. He was speechless. Daniel stood frozen at the doorway. Surely this was some kind of joke, he said in his mind. And he said to her, "Mother, it's me, your son," he said quietly. But the old woman simply frowned. "I'm sorry," she said. "I think you have the wrong house." The door closed, and Daniel's world began to crumble. His own mother had forgotten him. He sat outside all night, devastated. At first, he told himself it was impossible, but the forgetting had only just begun. Old friends passed him like strangers. Shopkeepers ignored him as if he was a nobody. Even the dog that used to follow him everywhere walked straight past him. Daniel finally understood the terrible truth. Without a shadow, the world slowly forgets you exist. Terrified, Daniel rushed home, but the nightmare was not over. His wife opened the door. She looked at him carefully. Then she asked, "Who are you?" Daniel was broken. In that moment, Daniel realized he was disappearing from the world. He realized only one person can save him, the traveler. Meanwhile, Daniel searched for days from one village to the other. Then, one night, he finally found him in a distant mountain village. He ran with little strength he had left and knelt down behind him. And then he said,
Please, give me my shadow back. I can't continue like this.
The traveler turned slowly, as if he had been expecting him, and said,
You may have it, but you must return everything your shadow bought you.
Daniel had two choices to make. either disappear from this world or live a normal life again. But at the end, Daniel closed his eyes and chose to exist and to be seen once again. Because sometimes the price of success is losing yourself.